Good Thursday morning to you, my friend. And in Ohio, we've got the state's case expected to rest today in the toddler-stabbed murder trial for defendant Bionca Ellis. And that is, of course, our top story this morning. So will the jury believe Bionca Ellis's defense? So here's what we have here. This woman's pleading not guilty by reason of insanity. We know that 3-year-old Julian Wood was stabbed to death at a Giant Eagle grocery store parking lot in the greater Cleveland area. Now, Ellis's defense team isn't denying that she stabbed Julian and Julian's mother, Margot Wood. But instead, what they're saying is that she was insane at the time of the event. In other words, didn't legally know right from wrong. We know she was diagnosed with schizophrenia, according to the defense, and they also say she was off her medication at the time of the incident.
She acknowledges through her lawyers, whether she testifies or not, that she's responsible for the murder of Julian. She acknowledges through her lawyers that she's responsible for the attempted murder of Margot. There's no running away from that. That's not what this trial is about. The evidence will show, though, that it is obvious that she was insane at the time of the offense.
So we've seen Ellis at a previous hearing, smiling at the camera, making different faces. A lot of the comments on social media say things like, wow, she really looks crazy. But is she? Is she? And at trial, we're seeing kind of a different version of Bionca Ellis, a very subdued version. I said to my team yesterday, I wondered if she's medicated. We don't know. Maybe we'll find out. So let's talk about what the jury may be thinking and how viable this defense is. Let's bring in our guests. So pleased to have with me this morning forensic psychiatrist Dr. Carol Lieberman and high-profile criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Michael J. Brown. Good morning to you both. Dr. Carol, let me begin with you as we look at some of the important events that occurred that led up to the stabbing. And I want to ask you if any of these events may inform a professional opinion of one of the expert witnesses we may be seeing soon in the trial. So we know this woman got arrested for theft the week before the incident in question, and she attempted to reclaim her property on the day of the stabbing. That's why we see her at the police station. And the police officer who had the interaction with her said she seemed very irritated when she left the lobby. She even turned off the light switch in the station lobby. And then we see she left behind her wheelchair and her suitcase. Again, apparently maybe angry. She was caught on camera stealing the knives at the thrift store, and then she goes into the grocery store where the incident occurred. And we know that there was compliance with the officers. She walked away very nonchalantly. Dr. Carol, you had an interesting take yesterday, and for any viewers who missed the segment, we want to hear more. So we want to bring you back this morning and tell us what you're thinking and what these timeline events tell you professionally.
Well, first of all, she was, according to her attorneys, she was diagnosed with schizophrenia when she was 22, and she's 33 now, and she supposedly had 10 years of treatment with medication and so on. And yes, I do think she is medicated now in the courtroom because there was this whole issue of whether she was competent to stand trial, and the way that they got her competent was by giving her medication. So, but I mean, there still are these moments of where she does have kind of a strange look, where she, you wonder what she's thinking. So she left the store, the police station, and she was angry, and she got knives. Now, whether she was thinking that she had to protect herself, whether she was feeling paranoid, or whether she was just feeling angry and she wanted to do something to somebody. But what I find is so interesting is I haven't seen the look. The guy cross each other right before she attacks the little boy and the mother. They cross each other in the store. And I wonder if we haven't seen the face of the mother. And I wonder if she, had this sort of visual hallucinations, or she misinterpreted with the look on the mother. The mother veered, to not hit her. But perhaps she projected something onto the mother that the mother was thinking badly of her or something, And that is why she picked that person to attack. But, just the fact that she had the diagnosis of schizophrenia, that isn't enough to get to reach the criteria of not guilty by reason of insanity. It has to be by mental disease or defect that at the time of the crime they couldn't appreciate the wrongness of their acts.
Dr. Carroll, really helpful insight. Thank you.
The defense is going to have the burden of proving that defense by what we call a preponderance of the evidence. So they have to tip the scales just a little more than the other side to establish the proof. And yeah, they can establish it. What you're going to focus on is they're going to have hired an expert, I believe, and the expert will have examined the defendant and had an extensive examination of the prior medical history, prior diagnosis, discuss the incident with the defendant, gather records from the past, and the defense is going to want to focus on immediately prior, during, and immediately after the incident to try to establish that she, in fact, was insane. And the doctor hit it right on the head, which is she was unable to appreciate the wrongfulness of her actions at that moment in time.
Appreciate the explainer, Michael. This is really important. You both are providing great insight as we need to understand the legal components here and the medical components. Speaking of, Dr. Carroll, back to you. What do you think about the victims here that were chosen, for lack of a better way of saying it, by this woman, whether she was experiencing a hallucination or not? I don't know. Only she really knows. But what do you think about the fact that this 3-year-old child and a mother pushing a shopping cart? I mean, defenseless, helpless people, no doubt. It wasn't like she picked a big, strong, strapping young man, to attack who could have possibly knocked the knife out of her hand and knocked her down. She picked vulnerable people. What does that say to you?
Yes, I think that was definitely a part of it. Sometimes people are jealous. Here's a mother and a son with a shopping cart. Such a cute, such a warm scene. And sometimes if someone is very jealous of that, like perhaps she didn't have that kind of experience with her mother, maybe she was missing her mother, wasn't getting her mother's attention. They had been estranged for 6 months before this incident. So it seems like perhaps she was envious of that relationship.
I love what you're saying there. Let's play this out even more. Let's keep going down this road, because this is a really good theory. She's agitated, we know, according to the police officer, when she leaves. She goes and she gets knives, and then, like you said, she sees this adorable sight with this little toddler who's cute as can be, his mom. They've got flowers in the cart, of all things. You're right, it's something out of like Happy Land. There's a witness named Travis Bush who took the stand, and he spoke to Bionca Ellis right after. Let's listen to what he said.
I said, do you know you stabbed that kid?
And what were your observations of her at that time? Did she look at you?
Yes.
Did she respond to you?
Yes.
What did she say to you?
With the shrug and mouthing so.
Okay, Dr. Carroll, what do you think of that?
Oh, dear. Well, clearly she understood him. She answered him. Obviously, that's very cold and very, I don't want to say psychopathic, but it could be, her defense could argue, well, yes, you see, she didn't really know what she was doing. She had this strange reaction to his asking her that. A normal person would feel more empathetic. That's why when you have a case like this, I've done not guilty by reason of insanity cases, and you have to do such a thorough examination of the person and such a thorough examination of the history to get all these little pieces to put them together.
Yes. I think that's exactly why this makes it such a fascinating trial. We just don't know what was going on here, sadly, that took the life of Julian Wood. We'll leave it there for now. Dr. Carol Lieberman, thank you so much for coming on the program.